Well, good day, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to do some mail time today and maybe also talk about just what's been going on, what I've been doing, what I've been up to, etc., etc. Well, stay tuned. Okay, so let's just dig into just a little bit of mail that I've received lately. So let's just pull some of these out. Got a letter from Lyle B. Scott III in Poland, Lubelsk in Rzeszów, Poland. Of course, I butchered that name, that word. But anyways, it's nice having a letter from overseas, a nice Polish postage stamp right there. You know, I got in the habit of opening letters on the side instead of the top. I don't know why I do that. But nice typewritten letter. This was dated, I received it March 26th. He mailed it February 17th. So he was talking about that previous night, he watched a documentary called VHS Revolution, directed by Dmitry Korchini, and it covers the introduction of the VHS tape and the story about the Sony Betamax. So that was very interesting. And I know a little bit about that because I was involved in video recording, electronic repair. I actually went to Sony's Betamax school in Southern California back in the early 1980s. His letter was typed on the Smith Corona Sterling. Very cool little letter. I really appreciate the cards and letters I get from people around the United States and around the world. And of course, I'm not really good about answering them as quick as I should be. I apologize for that. I got a letter postmarked the 23rd of March. I received it the 26th of March from William Behrens. He's sent me a lot of really cool letters over the years, and I've been less than faithful to respond to his letters in a timely fashion. He wrote his on an Olympia SM7, 1963 Olympia SM7 with a Elite Congress typeface. And he started off with that typewriter, and then he switched to a 1943 Hermes Baby with a Pica typeface. Then he switched to his Triumph Perfect in 1961 Triumph Perfect with a Pica Imperial typeface, and then an L.C. Smith Corona flat top from 1934, a maroon typewriter with Pica typeface, and a Voss Deluxe ST24, an Elite typeface. That was a 1957 typewriter. Very cool two-page letter. I just love the way you guys share your lives and your typewriter hobbies and just whatever's going on. It's just fun to get an update from you guys. And I always notice that your typewritten letters are really nicely typed and very neat. And okay, here's a letter from my friend Javier in Jurupa Valley, California, Southern California, and he has a very cool little hand-drawn typewriter piece of art there up next to the return address and a couple really cool stamps. I really appreciate Javier's letter writing. This young man has been very faithful to send me postcards and letters very frequently. He sent me a card here with some artwork and a handwritten note, and he says, P.S. I think mail should be every 3 weeks. And you know, Javier, I think you're right. I should be doing mail time more often. I apologize for not doing it. And he has a typewritten letter on 1/4-inch graph paper, and I love his very unique signature there in red ink. And that was dated March 22nd. I just enjoy his letters. He's a very faithful correspondent, and I thank you, Javier, for your patience in putting up with my lack of quickness in responding. So a letter from Sterling Carter of Greensboro, North Carolina, dated 17 March. I got it around March 20th. I try to put a little date stamp on these letters. It's a nice one-pager on some cream-colored paper and a 1949 Sterling, Smith Corona Sterling. Of course, his first name is Sterling. Hey, it makes a lot of sense. And he says that he's also purchased a 1963 Hermes 3000, and he has a 1957 Groma Colibri. One of the things I really like about just the little details about that people do is his dates, the way he dated it, is he says 17th March, and then 2021 is typed below it with spaces in between the numbers. So it looks really elegant. Really cool little thing the way you did there. And I try to make note of these kinds of little details that you guys do, and I try to copy it if I can, right? Because that's the best way to learn, is to copy from other people. Okay, here is a letter from Eric in New Hampshire. And what's cool about Eric's letter is it's not in a separate envelope. The letter itself is its own envelope, and it's sealed with a nice maroon-colored wax seal. And this is the way letters were written hundreds of years ago, when paper was very expensive and they didn't go to the trouble of making separate envelopes. They folded it so that it forms its own envelope. And Eric, he has a nice printed letterhead, really elegant, looks like laser printed, maybe even offset, I don't know, but it's a really cool letterhead. And that's another thing I noticed about you letter writers out there is a lot of you guys have really good letterheads, and that's another thing I need to get into is a letterhead. Anyway, he writes a really neat 2-page letter. He says he bought his first typewriter, a Royal KMM from 1945. I really enjoyed this letter, having it sealed with wax, just the way it came out. It's very cool. And what do we have else in the grab bag? Oh, a Southern California postcard again from our friend Javier. And he is saying it's thank you for showing my postcard and letter in the mail call video. And let's see, going back into, I received this letter around March 4th. This is from John Maye up in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. It's typed in a nice blue ink on a 1/4-inch graph paper, but it's a really nicely typed letter, really nice imprint actually, and it's just fun to read the updates of people's lives and what they're doing. And you start out, when you start these correspondences, you don't really know the people very well, but over the period of years you start to get to know them, even though I've never met him in person. Christopher McKellar from Salt Lake City, Utah, he postmarked this letter, or the post office did, on 27th of February. I got it around March 2nd, and it's a nice thick letter. I love these thick letters, right? Again, he has a nice letterhead that's printed, even some really cool artwork here along the left margin, right, of that letter. Really cool. This is a Smith Corona Courier from 1965, made in England. Very cool. And then he switches over to the Galaxy 12 from 1973. Then he switches to an Olympia SM7 with a black and green ribbon. The green highlights are very cool. And he's commenting about my Hamburger Helper postcard. Yes, I know. That's kind of a silly thing to do. And I'll show you what I'm doing here with that a little bit later. He also then switches to a Skywriter, a 1960 Smith Corona Skylight writer in his letter. And what else? Oh, then he switches to a Smith Corona Super from 1953 with an Elite typeface. And it's kind of fun to see the different typefaces and how the letter changes its appearance as the typewriters change. And then a Royal FPE from about 1960. And it's really cool just seeing these letters and just getting to know people and just noticing the little details of how people format their letters differently. Like, for instance, Christopher, will number the pages at the top with a dash, a number, and a dash, right, in the middle of the top of the line. That's pretty cool. I like that. And let's see what else. Getting back here, oh yes, Bill Guthrie from Portland, Oregon. This was postmarked 19 February, and I got it. Don't think I stamped the envelope when I got it. Let's see, did I stamp the letter? Nope. But he has a nice, colorful letterhead with his address and name. It's sort of a senatorial-style typeface that he's using here. I don't remember what the typewriter was, but yeah, and it's really nice textured letterhead paper. Really love it. So obviously my letter writing friends are very prolific, much more prolific than I am. Well, another mail time I need to mention is we have a local person in our typewriter group, Tara. She is a doctor, and she's been working with COVID patients in the healthcare industry. She is extremely crafty, and she made me a card and shipped it in a handmade envelope. The envelope is made from a road atlas map. How cool is that? And inside the envelope, of course, is the card, and it is a hand-stitched piece of a decorator cloth with a nice pattern on it, stitched to a piece of cardstock with a nice handwritten letter. Really cool postcard. I really appreciate her craftiness. And she has, during our typewriter meetings that we were having in 2019 and earlier, she has actually shown us how to make our own envelopes out of, old pieces of paper, like maps or whatever you have, calendars, calendar pictures and all that, and how to make cards. She's really crafty and a great lady to have in our group. So again, thank you, Tara, for the gift. Anyways, yeah, I have a pile of letters that this envelope goes all the way back. The earliest letter is the August of 2020. So you can see how far backlogged I am. And yes, I'm a very bad person. I'm backlogged. I need to keep writing letters. And one more little quick mail thing is I got a letter from my local friends here, Kevin and his wife, Andrea Kittle. This is a beautiful little watercolor artwork card. Just a little reminder that they were remembering our anniversary. Isn't that cool? Thank you, Kevin and Andrea. I appreciate that. Okay, I had a recent visit by my friend Bill Teft. He's another great friend I have locally. The previous visit, I think it was the previous one, he gifted me with one of these old original Leatherman tools. And I found this to be very handy. I was up on the roof today getting my cooler started up, and that multi-tool here came in very handy for that. But Bill made a visit last week, and he was up in Denver and went to I don't remember the name of the store, but there's a stationery store in Denver that's pretty well known, a really big store. And he gave me this accordion watercolor paper art book, notebook or sketchbook or painting book to sketch or draw or paint or whatever. And hey, another little cool notebook that I'm going to have fun with. So thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. But Bill gave me something else. Okay. This is a chalk holder. It holds a stick of chalk. Now, you young people out there don't remember chalk probably, but when I was young, chalk, especially yellow chalk, was the common way that teachers used to write with in the classroom. And they wrote on slate chalkboards. And he gave me this really cool slate chalkboard. And I've already tested it out a little bit. Joe's Coffee and my wife Andrea, which she's known in the family as Andy, Andy's Kitchen. Okay, so let's talk about the chalk for a minute. If I can pull this chalk out. This is, and I'm going to butcher the name, this is Japanese chalk. This is Hagoromo. And there was a documentary video that came out maybe a year or two ago, and I think it was actually a 60 Minutes story on CBS 60 Minutes about this chalk. Apparently, this chalk is considered the best chalk in the world, and college professors, like mathematicians that write formulas on the chalkboards, they love using this stuff. And supposedly a few years ago, they were going to quit making this chalk, and all these mathematicians started hoarding this chalk. But somehow Bill was able to find it, and perhaps the chalk is now back in manufacture. But I don't know if you guys have ever used a chalkboard or heard it used, but listen to this. My microphone's right up here. Man, there is just a distinctive click and a smooth sound to the chalk on the slate chalkboard. You don't get that sound and that texture from anywhere else. I love it. And we have this in the kitchen now. It's double-sided, of course, and so it's going to be a lot of fun using this for notes and whatever I love use or whatever, you can use this for. But I especially like the chalk holder. And that reminds me, throughout my grade school years, I remember most teachers just used the bare chalk in their hands. And I remember teachers getting chalk dust on their clothes and all that. But I remember one teacher came in with a metal, it was probably aluminum chalk holder, and we thought that was so cool. We thought that was the future, right? It's a metal chalk holder. Well, I really appreciate that, Bill. What a great gift. Oh, he even gave me a little erasing cloth. my friend Ethan. I was over at Ethan's shop the other day, and he gave me, he's been doing a deep dive into pens and pencils and mechanical pencils and fountain pens and ballpoint pens of all kinds. And he gave me this. This is a TWSBI brand model Pagoda, a 0.7 millimeter mechanical pencil. And Ethan is more of an office supply junkie than I am, I think. He spends more attention to detail about the pens and how they work than I do. The rear cap pulls off, and there is I think it's a Pentel style eraser. And of course, there's a storage compartment in the back for more of the leads, right? So you have plenty of eraser there. I like the way the body is molded to take the metal clip, and there's these little rubbery grips that are on the plastic body up here, right where the grip is, and they're not too squishy, but they do make a nice, just a nice, comfortable grip. And then the pipe at the front that holds the lead, it's really nice and stable. It doesn't wobble. There's no wiggle or wobble or play, and this is a really nice mechanical pencil. Thank you, Ethan. Oh, when I was over at Ethan's the other day, I actually had the opportunity to try out some of his fountain pens, and I tried out a Wing Sung vacuum filler fountain pen that Ethan had let me try out, and this is one of the more expensive pens that Ethan has bought. He tries to be very thrifty. This is like somewhere between $20 and $30, but he was using a mix of Pilot, the blue black ink, and Noodler's blue black. And I really like this ink, and I like the way the pen writes. And so I was not really that familiar with how vacuum filler fountain pens work, and Ethan promised that we're going to do a deep dive soon into the world of vacuum filler pens, because he has a number of them. So look forward to that vacuum filler pen. In the meantime, my fountain pen of choice that I continue to use in my little Walmart $5 dot grid journal book is the Pilot Plumix, and I'm using the Copper Noir ink, and I really like the Copper Noir, the look of it in this stub nib metallic nib. And this is an inexpensive $15 maybe pen. These are really comfortable and fun to write with, and because of the stub nib metallic nib, it really tends to make my handwriting nicer than it would otherwise be. So another thing happening is I happen to be a fan of Austin Kleon. And if you don't know who he is, just go to Austin Kleon, Kleon. He has a website. He has a number of books. His probably most famous book is Steal Like an Artist. Austin is a writer and an illustrator and an artist. And he's been doing a lot of collage work this last year. And I noticed that he made mention of these Uhu brand glue sticks. Now, I've not been a connoisseur of glue sticks. I've been using these Avery glue sticks, and they're okay, but what I noticed about the Averys, this is a fresh one I started a few weeks ago, but when you start using it a lot, you start getting glue down on the area up on the front where the cap fits on, and it starts to make it harder and harder to put the cap on. And the previous glue stick, the cap finally split on the side, and then the stick started to dry out when it was maybe only half used up, and I didn't really like that. So anyways, I ordered a 3-pack of these smaller Uhu glue sticks, and I'm going to get around to trying out these and comparing them to the Avery brand and seeing if there's any difference, because Austin Kleon says they're the best glue sticks. Well, we'll find out here when I get around to using them. Anyway, that's the magic world of glue sticks for you right there. Let's see. The other thing I want to mention is I think I did an update video recently about the Afghan Box Camera, and I'm going to make a video specifically about these two books. I might have mentioned this book a few years ago. This was written by Burke and Foley. It's called Afghan Box Camera. These are the people that started the Afghan Box Camera documentary project, and they have a number of videos on YouTube documenting the Afghan Box Camera as used in Afghanistan. But I also recently, you may remember I made mention that I got this book called Box Camera Now, and it is, the cover is sheathed in thin plywood, like the way a box camera would be made. So this is also by Lucas Burke. So more Afghan box camera stuff. I'm also in the process right now of modifying my Afghan box camera to do printing of digital negatives off the screen of a mobile device. So it's going to be making silver gelatin black and white positive prints in one step from a digital negative, and that's going to be really fun, I hope. Let's see. Yes, so postcards. Of course, I get postcards in. I've sent postcards out. You might remember that I have this penchant now for making handmade postcards. And I mentioned this probably in the last mail time. And I cut these to 4 inches by just under 6 inches so they conform to the U.S. Postal Service regulation postcard size. And I make these from packages of cardboard packages. Here's the Kodiak Cakes oatmeal postcard. It's, brown cardboard, but I use those half-size Avery adhesive labels to type on, and with an address label, it makes a nice little postcard. What else do I have? Well, I have a whole pack of these handmade ones that I probably showed you last time. Let's just go through these. The Alaska Brewing Company carton. I glued on some little graphics from other advertisements just to make it a little more interesting. But of course, everybody likes the pepperoni pizza postcards, just to illustrate what a bad diet I might be having, right? And of course, I think the Alaskan Amber Ale postcard like this is probably one of the prettiest ones that you can get out of a carton, a disposable carton of your favorite ale. Otherwise, you would be recycling them. And speaking of recycling, I do tend to collect these cardboard cartons, right? So we have, yes, more snacks. This is Ritz Bits, all right? I don't really like these, actually, but I like the carton. So I should be able to make one good postcard out of here, out of this main thing, and another one out of here. So I'll probably make 2 postcards out of that. I could make a third one out of just the the instructions or whatever, little advertisement about them here. And so that's that. And then we have, oh yes, of course, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. What are they frosted with? Sugar, yes, white refined sugar. Anyways, this could make a couple nice postcards, right? Frosted Flakes, maybe the Tony the Tiger face right there. And even Shaq himself might show up on one of my postcards there. So there you go. Homemade postcards continue to be made. And I'm obviously making more postcards than I'm sending out. And that's not good. Oh, I had a cardboard box for a Joby cell phone tripod, a tabletop tripod. I was going to throw the carton out, and so I just cut it up into these little kind of Joby tripod postcards. I don't know, they're not really that good, but hey, it beats throwing the cardboard out. I'll just mail them, right? So one of you guys might be getting some of those postcards soon. There's an old friend of mine, Larry Simpson. I've known Larry since about 1981, and we were both younger. Larry is an engineer and scientist, and this was his calculator that he used back in the late 70s, early 80s. This is a Hewlett-Packard Model 21. Yes, red LEDs, of course. And he gave me this calculator way back in sometime in the 80s after he had upgraded to a graphing calculator. But I have the calculator itself. I have the Nerd Pack holster that has a little loop you attach to your belt, an AC charger, and even the manual for it, which is coil bound. And back in the good old days of Hewlett Packard, when they made really great calculators, this calculator wasn't working all that well for a lot of years. The NiCad battery pack had failed, and me and my friend Richard took the battery pack apart. You had to kind of cut some plastic pieces to get the cells out. They're just AA NiCads, and so we replaced them with fresh AA NiCads. Hey, this old calculator still runs, and this is the current calculator that I'm using on my desk right now. I figured I needed to put it into rotation. It has this 2-prong charging jack in the back for charging the batteries. These were very similar in design to the early Texas Instruments calculators, and it's 2 metal prongs sticking out inside an enclosure there in the connector. And I remember reading about this, but people had problems with these, both the Hewlett-Packard and the TI, because if you get a piece of pencil lead, if you're a nerd and you carry calculators around, you might be carrying mechanical pencils. You get a piece of pencil lead shorted across these two pins, the battery could blow up or burn in your pocket. And that's what happened to some people. So if you have one of these old calculators, just make sure you don't get a piece of pencil lead stuck in there. That's my advice. So there you go. Hewlett-Packard Model 21. I'm still using it. Still works great. One of the great things that happened to me this last month is I was blessed by a visit from Bob Marshall. That's right, Bob Marshall. He's the author of American Roadrunner, the book. And if you're not familiar with that, it's kind of his take on Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance, but from his perspective, being not only a highly skilled and experienced motorcycle mechanic and rider, but also a typewriter guy, right? I received the Speedy Spooler from Bob a month or two ago, and I've been meaning to wait until I get some fresh ribbons, and I'm going to show you guys how this thing makes spooling ribbons on from a bulk supply really easy. But go out and check out Bob's book, American Roadrunner. He did a great job with that book. And we had a great visit, hours and hours spent getting to know each other and just talking and visiting, having dinner and everything. What a great blessing it was. And I hope you're well, Bob. I was going to mention to you guys that when I've been typing my own personal journal stuff or blog articles or one-type page entries, I've been using these correct type correction strips almost exclusively now. I think the only time I use correction tape is when I mishit a letter and it ends up being partially lower or higher than the line where you can't accurately retype it with correct type correction tape. That's when I use roll-on type correction tape. But I've been leaving just a sheet of this in whatever pack of paper I take with me with my typewriter, and it's turned out really a fun way to do corrections, really kind of easy. And in fact, what I've been doing with some of my portables is I'll stick the sheet of correct type in the little gap on the side of the ribbon cover, so it just kind of sticks up right? And because sometimes when you lay it flat, it's kind of hard to pick up the thin plastic at times. You leave it sticking out of the gap on the side of your ribbon cover, and it just hangs there, and you can just pick it up and do your correction and be done with it and move on. So that's my thing I've been doing. I love this stuff, and I think you can get sheets of this now from online. I think Ribbons Unlimited has a new version of like correct type that comes in a sheet. So check that out too. I love this stuff for doing corrections. Well, that's it. Mail time and kind of a little update on what's going on. Have I collected any new typewriters? No, but I did see in an antique store up on East Central last week, I saw a Singer brand. It's a Smith Corona 6 Series Type Bar Electric with standard width carriage and manual carriage return. I think it was like white on top and yellowish on the bottom, so the colors aren't all that great, but it appeared to work. I have not bought it yet, so it's possible I might get that. I don't know, but if I do, I'll share it with you. Well, anyways, thank you everybody for your patronage of this channel and for your continued faithfulness and just watching these videos and giving feedback, and also for all the great people out there in the typewriter world who continue to write me, and we see each other on Facebook groups and on blogs and on live streams. It's a great community, and if you guys are new to the typewriter world, be sure to get connected into the wonderful world of typewriters. Well, until next time, this is Joe Van Cleve, and as always, stay creative, stay well, and have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye for now.